Okay, this is image 2. And remember that, you've already worked through some of the problem solving in the quick sketch, in like the warm-up. So if you figured out a solution, like example, using the letter S, carry that over into your next grab. If something didn't work, that's where you adjust. Each drawing, in its essence, is a series of steps. So I don't want you guys to think that like your first, second, or third grab is always going to be perfect. It's not. In fact, I'm remembering that looking at my drawing and looking at the example, maybe I want to bring in the sides of the page a little bit. So maybe right now I'm just adjusting the height-width relationship of my drawing space, and like right here, this stuff over here is it's no longer part of it. This is my new drawing space. So let's go. Noticing the head starts like pretty close to the top of the page, but there is still some space. And it travels down. If the center of the page, so from here to here, is right here, the head seems to end maybe a little bit above the center. The more you can avail yourself of these either height or width measurements, these relative measurements, the better your drawing is going to go. So let's drop in like a circle, and that will be our stand-in for the head. I've said it before in class, something you'll hear as you move through your art career from good instructors is they say, don't go falling in love. And what that means is you shouldn't, an example of falling in love would be like, okay, this is perfect, I'm just going to go from here. You should do all your preliminary work. All your first steps should be very light, because if they're not, they are not amendable. You need to be able to change your work. You need to be able to adjust, because very few people can get things right first try. I know I can't. There's our letter S. And I'm noticing that the vertical relationship here, the fist is like here. That might even be off, but that's just kind of my note. And then coming down a little further, off the bottom of the page, I like to draw this little house shape. This is an example where I think it's easier to draw the negative space than it is to draw the positive space, which is the negative space is the missing space. It's the space in between the legs. And you'll also notice that the legs are almost, the insides of the legs are almost perfectly in plumb. That means right below the head. So we've got, this very amendable set of marks on our page. A great way to think about it is maybe a picture coming into focus. We've all been there. The camera's out of focus. So here we go. So let's start from the bottom this time. I'm noticing that the outside of the leg is pretty much between the edge of the page, and so it's like a middle. So like right there, we're just going to do one of those. I'm actually noticing that I could probably, because this line is parallel to this line is parallel to this line, I can just use what I know about contour line at this point to fill this in. So this is kind of a neat moment where I don't have to look back at my, my reference image, sorry. I can just kind of like look off the, I can look off existing information on my drawing. So I'm noticing the body goes a little bit higher than the middle of the page. This is my midpoint line. And I'm noticing that if you were to measure from here to here, this is the middle of that line, the fist kind of comes off in a way that it hugs the midpoint. Now again, these lines aren't super clean. If it gets overworked, what you can always do is put another piece of paper over it and trace the lines. And that's my invitation to you to start to see drawing as a process of attempt and revision. very few people, unless they've like memorized the drawing, can work from start to finish without revision. You someday, check out this contour here, may be able to do it, but that's only one style of drawing, so I don't want anybody to feel like they have to get everything perfect the first time. And then I'm once again drawing the negative space. I'm drawing the space where there isn't anything. I'm going to choose to bring the head down a little bit, and I'm going to carry this. This is overlap. We'll talk about that in a later project, but it looks like the arm punches through the head roughly at the center of the circle. I know that my drawing is starting to get crowded, and one of the best parts about teaching is if my demo is crowded, that means I need to tighten up and be a little more careful. So when I say that my two favorite things in the world are teaching and drawing, and I get to have two favorite things because that's how I want to do it, you know that I am being truthful. So because the teaching practice is what enhances my art practice, and then my art practice enhances my teaching practice. So there we go. So there's my guy. There's a lot of line here. You'll notice though that I kept it moving. I didn't get frustrated and go back and try to fix anything. I'm working through the stages of the drawing. So this is the dessert though. This is the best part because you've got all these lines, and now it's my, if at the very start, that first minute, I was spending most of my time looking at the drawing, and then once I had that initial marks down, I could start to maybe do 50% looking at the source image, 50% looking at my image. Now, with this contour part, this is the thing everybody wants to do. I can just look at the drawing, and I can just focus on putting in these wonderful, clean contour lines. So this is, again, this is dessert. This is the best part. And this is what everybody thinks drawing is, because this is the part that you see on the YouTube videos. You see this part, and it's so silly, but the artists, I think, maybe don't show their process, and that is a tradition as old as time. Michelangelo, Leonardo, Da Vinci, they would all throw out their practice work. They would hide it. They wanted people to think that, you know, I think artists do it on purpose. It's like you're the mystic, right? You understand something so well that you can't explain it. Well, I don't know if I necessarily believe in that. I would like to be able to explain what I can do. Look, I'm changing the legs. I'm making them a little wider. So again, amendments welcome. And brava. So the drawing is copied. Ooh, what did I miss? These wonderful action lines. Keith Haring loves action, his action lines. So you can put in the same action lines. Maybe you change the action lines. That is up to you. And I think this is good. I've been drawing for about 8 minutes. Maybe I can get away with putting in some enhancements. So maybe this time I will kind of do a contour line around the exterior. So my last contour enhancement was an interior. And we'll see what this does. This is, this is my creative academic risk. One of the things that's really exciting about art is that you get to take these interesting risks. Risk is not inherently a bad thing. There are healthy risks and there are unhealthy risks. So what I would say is art is your chance to take a healthy risk. Wow, that is cool. This is great. I'm really happy with this. And I'm excited and voicing that excitement because I know from experience that you're not always happy with the risks you take. Because the thing is, you have a nice drawing and you're getting kind of attached to it. And what's dangerous is you can actually overwork your drawing, and that's where you love it so much that you almost love it to death. You squeeze all the air out of it. So there we go. And then maybe I'll do something like this to I'll use these lines and this overlap to sell this as a different space. So So, ooh, and maybe some interior shapes. That would be fun. This is just delightful. I'm having a blast. All right, so there we go. And if I wanted to make this like a finished drawing, what I'd do is I would lay a piece of paper over it and I would just trace all that I wanted to keep. So thank you for watching, and we will move forward in a minute.